Hey friends, it's Julie from Plan to Create, and in the spirit of planning when you have no plans, I'm introducing you to a new design that I've recently created. It's called the Week on One page, and I'm calling it the Homebody. It's not because only homebodies can use this, but it's for those of us who maybe don't love to have a ton on our schedules, but still need to kind of see the week in a glance as we work through our to-do lists. So you can see that the little weekly portion up there is tiny. It's so little because really if I have one or maybe even two, max 3 things a day, that totally fits up there. And that's like not very often that I would have 3 things in one day. So I am just jumping right in here. This week I'm sharing a little bit more of that foundation building because it's a new design, and so I wanted to give you guys some ideas of how I would use it, how I would set it up. I'm using that same August stamp that I love from scrapbook.com, and then I'm coming through with these Carrie Bradford number stamps. I love them as well. They kind of have an airy look to them, but they get the information down for me. Of course, you can keep in mind that you can always come in and just write down your dates. You don't necessarily need to use stamps or stickers, but I love to go ahead and add those little pops of color because it's just kind of what I like to look at throughout the week. I subscribe to the Studio Calico stamp subscription. So if you see, this one has so many great little things you can use inside a planner. I love that about taking something that's not intended for planners and bringing it to my planner pages. So I am eyeballing those huge numbers. And in one of the versions of this insert design, I do actually say week number kind of in this space. I took it out on this variation, but I know in my mind that that's what I want to use this for. So I'm coming through with this super light linen ink from Close to My Heart, and it's just perfect because it's going to be this bold number, but super light, and then I know that I can write over it. So I will be tracking 3 things in this space, and I can write those things right over the numbers that I've stamped. I'm also grabbing that cute circle just to kind of add that shape to this page. There are a lot of linear things going on here, so softening it up with the circle and some soft edges is a nice touch. Another extra step that isn't necessary but is fun is to grab this little routine stamp and stamp that above the days of the week there in the routine section. We'll just ignore that it's crooked and just appreciate the value that it brings to the page. Dun da da da! No, the whole reason why I designed that sidebar is these cute stickers from the planner spot. I do really enjoy using these on my pages. I feel like they just add that extra touch that, like I've said before, makes me want to come back, open my planner, and check out what I'm supposed to be doing. Trying to figure out how I would add this skill to my resume, like can line up stickers straight on the sidebar. Except I can't even do it. You guys, it's a struggle, but I do my best. And I space out the extra kind of spacing here instead of adding another sticker. I go ahead and use that strip of washi, so then I have just enough space to add a full box sticker at the top. That, my friends, makes all the difference. Am I wrong? Trying to get a little better angle, so I flip this one upside down and work backwards, but you guys get the idea, and I zoom through it pretty quick here. Typically on my own pages, I would probably go ahead and add in these titles just into my design. I've done that a lot, but I am trying to build something that you guys could use your own way, so I'm not going to create those titles for you on the pages, and I thought I would give you some ideas of how you can add your titles. I'm using these custom stickers I purchased through Papery Planning. I'm working off a little muscle memory here. My incoming list is always on that far right spot on my pages, but I realized no, I want it to be in the same place each week. In the bottom of the sidebar is its new home. I'm still kind of messing around with which lists are going to be where, because it is, new for me. I'm used to having them in a very specific spot. So one thing I will point out though is that each week I needed certain lists, and then I felt like between these 2 weeks that are going to be facing each other, I could have one side have a errands list and one a to-buy. I didn't feel like I needed a whole errands and a whole to-buy list each week. So I'm kind of, you're going to see there. Errands go there, to-buy come over on the far right, and they'll just kind of be like the week on 2 page view when it comes to those. Another thing I wanted to point out is that those first rows of lists have 7 rows. Wow, that's a lot of rows and lists. But basically just wanted to let you know you can add the days of the week there. You see, I think about adding my meal plan stamp, but I decided it's going to be a little bit of a cluster with whatever is already stamped there, so I leave it be. But I just wanted you to know that, like if you wanted to track workouts or you wanted to track meals or anything else that's day specific, those little spots up there are a great place to do that. So for this tracking section, I made the decision to only include 3 things. I felt like that was enough that I could really focus on what was important, and really if you dial into those, ideally you kind of get them naturalized into your life, and then you switch to something new the next time. So, you know, tracking 30 things, I may be the master of none, but 3 things I feel like I can really work into my life. And especially the planner spot has her whole setup that has helped guide me into my goals this year. And she basically narrows it down to 3 things that you do every month, every week, every day. So here are my 3 things that I want to do each day during the month of August to approach and meet my goals. So here's the part where I just squeeze in all the events that I have to into this tiny little space. That was a joke. I don't have a lot of events. Dork. Anyways, this week in particular, we were driving through the United States, taking our kids from the West Coast basically over to the East Coast. And so you see, I just went ahead and marked that off using a Tombow marker and a cute little icon. I actually filmed a bunch of footage before I left on this trip, and each day I ended up bringing out my laptop and I would just work until it died. I didn't have a way to recharge it in our vehicle. But yeah, I thought I would just do Wednesday, so I was filming this before I left, but I ended up getting quite a bit of work done in that way. And I'm just coming through with those little stickers. I like these icons from Sweet Caress. I like that they're a little bigger. They have some color backing to them. Kind of a fun statement. So I'm just going to keep going through, adding on the events in my schedule. I pull out these new little tiny stickers from the planner spot. They're so cute and they are perfect. It's like I'm working in this itty bitty living space. Name that movie. Anyway, she has some tiny dots, some tiny corners, and they are perfect for this size space, and they would work really well like in a month on one space as well, anytime you're a little limited on white space. This corner and the black dot that I use are actually from Cloth and Paper, and I chose those because the black event signaled something to me about my husband's schedule. It was a color thing, but you're going to notice when I lay that dot, see the difference in the size, and I just really like the tiny ones. One of my fun little planner tricks of late is that I will layer my icon stickers. It's so extra and probably just so unnecessary, but you see I just throw the airplane down, and then my husband's and my color code is this taupey gray, so of course I like to put a little mini dot on top of that. So while I am filling out the rest of the information on these pages, I just wanted to point out something. I planned the 15th through the 21st in my last video, and those are actually like my plans, my pages that I used throughout that week. This right here is an experiment. This is me designing and printing and then practice using these pages before I bring them to my Etsy shop. So I just wanted to let you guys know that that's something that I do, and I brought you guys along for that process today. I want to make sure that I can include, you know, that these pages have room to include all the things that I would need in order to function through my week. And so this is just kind of that experimental stage, like, can I actually fit my schedule there? Does this have the right prompts for me? You know, am I able to breathe and use these? And I do feel like they passed my test. So I just wanted to let you guys know that if it seemed weird that you're like, wait, I've already seen those dates from her. Wait, wasn't she on a road trip last time? You know, if that seems a little funny, then that hopefully will explain what I'm doing here. This is just like my experimental stage. I plan to use these in the month of September, and I will be releasing them in my shop August 26th, which happens to be the same date of this video. So if you are watching this, they are now available in my shop, and you're welcome to join me through the month of September testing these out to see if they would work for you in your schedule too. I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of a creature of habit, so always having my lists in the same spot week after week has been very helpful for me. I feel a little bit like an Etch-a-Sketch right now. My brain just got shook and I have to kind of figure out where the puzzle pieces go. But I think that that's also really important to kind of do that periodically, because I can get into a rut, and just like I said before, things just start to get like white noisy. Like I see the list, but I don't feel like doing anything on it. So this just alerts my brain to pay attention differently. So that's just kind of the reason why I shake things up periodically. Okay guys, I wanted to share how it looked in my pages, and I wanted to let you guys know I'm naming these inserts after 3 of my friends, and this one is called the Sam. And if you guys know the planner spot or have followed her at all, you know that I was inspired initially by her sticker stack. So it only seemed fair that I gave her credit on these pages, that yes, these are actually designed with her in mind. Not that she would use them, but just that she gave me the inspiration to do the sidebar stacking. And I don't know what it is, you guys, it's silly, but I just really enjoy coming to my pages and seeing that. It's aesthetically pleasing to me, and it draws me in, makes me more likely to use my planner throughout the week. And so I gotta give props where the props are due. I wanted to mention that her stickers that she designs are 1¼ inch wide. So I think a lot of the sticker kits have 1½ So keep that in mind. I think hers look nice here with a little room on the edge. I think you could use the others. I don't actually have any other brands on hand to check, but I just wanted to mention that so that when I'm using a full box sticker, they're technically 1¼ inch wide. I kind of got ahead of myself though, because the original design actually was along the lines of this, more likely. I just knew that I wanted this at the top, and then I personally did like 6 lists, just like this, 3 boxes on each side, and I shared that with my Facebook group. And DREA like popped on it. It was just like, oh my gosh, I've got to use this. Like, she was really excited about it. So I ended up sending her kind of a pre-copy so that she could give me some feedback on what she would like to see on these pages. And she immediately came back and said like, oh, I would love just a really long to-do list. And I thought, you know, that makes sense, because some people don't need to categorize things out. I categorize things out because I need those little triggers, like, what do I need to do here in this area of my life? Otherwise, I stare at a list like this and I get a little lost. But DREA, you guys, she is a workhorse. She went right to bat with these pages. She went to work. She sent me some photos of how she was using them. And I actually showed them to my husband, and he was like, dang girl, like, she got after it. She had her list full and she went, I mean, straight to work. And I love that about her. She added some stamping and a little bit of color on her pages, but honestly, she was getting after it. And so these pages are inspired by her. And for those of you who maybe don't want to mess around as much with the sticker sidebar and don't want to play around that much, you just want to get down to business, this is your DREA. So it's a fun one, and I just did share, like, here's a blank page so that you guys can see what they look like on their own, and then this is like kind of how I would use it. And you'll see I did put a little deco in there. I mean, you can squeeze it in. It's not like you can't, but if you don't want to, you don't have to. And then my third variation that I'm releasing is called the STEPH. I had the pleasure of meeting Stephanie this summer on our road trip across the country. It was really fun to hook up. I got to see her planner. And one thing that she mentioned to me is how important it is to have a really long to-do list for each week. She agreed that she doesn't necessarily have a lot of timed events on her schedule, but she just definitely has task lists that she likes to get after. So I initially designed hers like the same at the top, just making sure I had a long task list. But then even that, she was like, I'm not sure if I can write my things in that tiny narrow space. So I went ahead and I designed this one that would have the days of the week coming down the side. That gives a little bit more room for each day if you have a tiny bit more or don't like to write microscopically. This is a space that gives you a little bit more room for that, to see your week, to lay it out. But then of course I've included that nice long to-do list for her, and then 3 different separate lists broken up here on the side. So here's a look at it plain, here's a look at it similar to like how I would use it. And I wanted to point out that full boxes, like the width of the planner spot stickers, fit very nicely in here. So if you're kind of on the fence, you want to start your week out, see where it's going, how long it goes, and then slowly add some stickers from the bottom to meet you halfway. Maybe that's a way that you can do it, or just plug out all of those tasks and fill up the whole sheet. I wanted to point out a tiny little detail. On this original page that you saw me work with in the Plan With Me section of this video, you may or may not have noticed that the Monday through Sunday is like in the middle of the days of the week. And as I was doing that, that works for me because I often stamp my dates in. But later on I was working with DREA's version and I wanted to write in the dates just to, you know, show that that is another viable option. You don't have to stamp or use stickers. And I realized how tricky it was to try to find a space for the numbers when it was smack dab in the middle. I just moved them over to the left ever so slightly so that there would be room for you to either write, sticker, or stamp your days there at the top. That's just one of the benefits of me taking the time to work through here, is that I catch those little details that I otherwise wouldn't if I wasn't actually using these. I also wanted to point out that this is the sidebar version that I originally designed with, and so this is just narrow enough that it will actually get entirely covered by the stickers. You can space them out so that you don't see any of the lines. That's what I did. I didn't necessarily mention it as I was doing it. But my version that I was using had even lighter lines here, and I decided to go ahead and darken them up to match the others. They don't have that task list, you know, check mark side over here, but it is dark enough that if you wanted to use this space to write your lists, kind of like the Stephanie style, you could. But the sidebar's there for you, just ready and primed in case you want to stack those stickers. Okay, so I am going to list these each separately in my shop. You'll have the SAM, the DREA, and the STEPH. But I recognize that some of you might want to mix and match even within the week. It doesn't look terrible to have, you know, one on the left, a different one on the right. It looks weird to have the 37 after the 38. I'm sorry, but that's just kind of how this sample worked out. But I do know that some of you may want to try 2, 3. So I actually would like to give you guys the code YouTubeLove, YTLOVE. And if you guys are interested in purchasing all 3, just as a way of thanking you for my support, I'm giving you 50% off of that purchase. If you just want to dial in, you know exactly which one you resonate with, totally fine, go after it. But I just know that some of you may want to play around, and just as a way of saying thank you for that support, I wanted to give you that code. I'm actually really excited to use these in September. I did like these mock-up pages. This is, like I said, part of my process for testing things out and figuring out little things like, moving the dates. So I'm excited to use these to my September monthly kit from the Planner Spot onto my September pages. I was kind of patching in with some old stickers here. So I hope that you guys will join me, and I would love to hear your feedback on it. You'll notice that it's named after my friends, and honestly, there's, like I said, there's so many possible varieties of how this could get laid out. Let me know your feedback as you use them, and who knows, maybe you could have one named after you in the way that you would use this in the future. So would love to hear your feedback on that, you guys. Thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it, and I will catch you in the next video.